it now, and
Oliver, is that auto switching or are you manually switching between me
no,
and
no, no,
you?
that's completely auto switching.
Just
It's
active
actually we
speaker?
are using the active speaker
Yeah,
source,
yeah,
and the background is the the
right.
screen share source.
Okay,
And the only thing that's sort of that's sort of changing is when you unshare your screen,
yeah,
then it will disappear and go to full screen.
right. And
And it,
how are you removing the background for the active speaker?
that there's a filter in mimoLive that's called to remove background. So I
Okay.
apply that filter to the mimoLive source, and then you go. I mean, if people are interested, I can
Yeah.
share.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
cool.
that's
I think it's cool that you can do that
yeah.
for this type of thing. I think it's useful. Yeah.
Yep.
We'll get a few more people showing up here. Robert Green, Jonas Daltel, Christopher Sabata. Get a few people showing up here. Excellent. We're not talking into a vacuum anymore.
Yep. Awesome. Let's give
So
them a few
Oliver,
more
what
minutes.
you just tell me when I should start here. Well,
Yeah,
I
let's
guess
give them a few more minutes.
give people a few more minutes to
Yeah,
get in here.
yeah. So in case anyone is interested, there is a mimoLive at Tahoe. Uh, so participant in this, and that's running mimoLive on macOS Tahoe. So just to test if it's, you know, if there are any issues. So far, they're not, which is awesome.
The virtual camera works,
The
which is
virtual
cool.
camera works, the filters work, the animations work, everything works. Even the licensing works, which I'm using the free evaluation license on that machine, and you can see that it's just adding this nice little um, watermark. And other than that, it's totally free, and you can download it and use it as long as you want, as much as you want, and it's all features, feature complete. So, all right, Mike Sweeney from Chicago.
I haven't seen a gallery this big in a while. It's a lot of square
Nice,
boxes.
nice. Yeah, well, seven of them are, are just
Yeah.
us,
Oh,
with
I know. Yeah.
multiple multiple computers in there, but
That's a
still
secret.
happy,
Shh.
still happy to see Andre. Hey, cool.
Andre Goulet
So
in Berlin.
there's a question in the
Good
chat.
evening.
Where is the recording going to be available? And Tony, hi. And the recording, I will post the recording. Usually, I will also will only post the recording of these workshops to our mimoLive Discord community. If you're not member of that yet, just join if you want to. I'll also post a link to join in the chat. Let me do that right away. Maybe I should do that right away so people can join while we are talking about this. But in this case, I will also post it to the mimoLive channel in the office hours thing, office hours Discord, and then hopefully everyone can watch it when it's done. So let me see, where's my totally awesome invite link? This is the totally awesome invite link. All right.
Oliver just posted that in the Zoom meeting chat. So for those that aren't part of the mimoLive Experts Discord server, we highly recommend you go there. We're trying to move everything to there as the kind of like single place to manage all feedback, discussion, anything you want to talk about with mimoLive. That should be there now, I think.
All right. I think we can get started, I think.
Oliver, do you want to post? Do you have that invite link you can post in the Zoom meeting chat so people
I've
can click
already
on?
posted it
Oh,
in the
it's
Zoom meeting chat.
okay. Okay, I don't see it
So
here. All right.
you can't see it? It should be it.
I don't see it on my end.
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, well, it hasn't updated. Anyways, okay, that's fine. We can start.
Who can see your messages?
Okay.
Recording on. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to start by creating a new template here. So I've got the window open here. So we're just going to do a blank template. I think that makes sense. And I'm going to set this document at 30 frame rates per second because that's what all the Zoom sources are going to be. And I'm going to set the resolution of the document here. We got a drop down menu. I'm going to set it to 4K. And the reason why I'm going to do that, even though Zoom sources are going to be 1080p, for those that don't know, is if you stream to YouTube using H.264 as a codec, if you send them anything higher than 1080p, you go into a different encoding pipeline, which we've talked about on office hours various times, but you go into a better encoding pipeline that is less compressed, so you get better image quality. I started doing this for one of my own shows, and I've noticed the quality difference in terms of the color and the overall picture. So that's what I'm going to set this to. And Oliver, do you want? So I can go and start kind of like just setting up the sources and organizing things. Do you want to talk everybody through this, or and just have me do stuff, or like how do you want to do
Well,
this?
I think you should you can do it
Okay,
and you can also comment or
sure.
narrate it because
Yeah, no problem.
you know what you're gonna do next,
Yeah.
and I don't want you to I don't want to give you commands. So
Okay, no problem.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll
All
just
right.
start by setting up.
I just chime in if I
Mhm,
notice anything that's maybe there's a different way to
sure.
do it or something like that.
So I'm sure there are a lot of people that are watching this now that are probably mimoLive users or have briefly used it. But for those that haven't, if you're used to a typical hardware-based switcher or any kind of software-based switcher where it's more a cut bus where you've got a program and preview bus, mimoLive is very, very different. It's more of a compositional type program that works in layers. I think Oliver coined the expression. It's more like the Photoshop. That's the best analogy. So we're going to start by adding our sources on the left hand column here, and obviously we're working with a Zoom meeting. So I'm just going to click the plus button and let's type in Zoom as our source. Now, one of the things we'll probably have to think about, because office hours with the extra hours show, the panel changes on a week to week basis. So sometimes there's a smaller panel and sometimes there's a larger panel. So I guess one of my questions is I'm not entirely certain how many sources I should add or prepare ahead of time, because we want to make sure we have enough sources from the get-go where we can put people in without having to rework it every single time. So I'm not sure how many
Yeah,
sources I should add.
I think you should I mean, what's the maximum number, or is there no maximum number that they
I'm not sure.
yeah, so that's a question we should ask one of
Well, let's start
the
with, I don't know. Let's do.
It might be eight.
Uh, I
eight.
was gonna say 8 or 10. Yeah, so let's
Yeah.
do, let's do 8, and then I think I can just duplicate these sources here.
Yeah.
Typically, it's six is how many super source boxes are set up in
Okay,
the system.
thank you.
I
Yeah,
mean, the
that's one
question
thing where we can
also, I think the
also
current max in daily office hours is 16.
Right, right. What was that, Oliver? You're gonna make a comment about duplicating sources?
yeah, I didn't want to talk over anybody.
That's okay.
So I think there's one improvement already we can make is we can make the, the called super sources thing. We can make a screen with 8 people. So
Yeah, I agree.
that will be already an improvement on. what's in
Is
there.
there any way to? I think another thing too is for quick setup. If you're gonna do for those that may be doing lots of sources, is there a way where you can just put in a number and say I want 16 sources instead of just going duplicate over and over and over again?
There
Having
is
some kind
not,
of
but I think, if, yeah,
having a
you're
box
doing
where you
this
can just
once
put in a number.
and then you're done. So I think, yeah, is I'll take that as a suggestion for the future. But and now you have like you have to rename them. That's I think is worse because well, I just leave them be for now. I'll show you when we join a meeting to
Yeah,
how we can we can set up like
I'm just gonna use
the
some names. I know some of the people that are on the show, so let's
yeah,
just
but
pick Alex
we can get
Winslow.
that automatically. So if you I mean, if we are in a meeting and you remove the title
Oh, really?
setting for the
You
Zoom
can get that.
meeting source, it will automatically pick the one that is assigned to the meeting, to the source. So
You're
you
you.
don't have to put in the names there.
So I don't actually have to put in the name, the title here in the
Yeah,
source. You're saying?
yeah,
Okay. So I just leave that blank.
yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So now I think it would be useful to have actually 8 talking heads, right? So we can go to
Right.
the Zoom. You can go to the Zoom menu and join the Zoom meeting, and then you'll have to have the. Oh, what version of mimoLive are you using? Is that the 6.11 or is it?
611.
Okay,
That's
there's
the
gonna be a new
production release.
version, the 6.11.1.
Right.
Um, for now, that's the name scheme. Has another menu item there that takes you directly to our demo meeting. So I'll just have
And I've
to
got the
find.
link. Yeah,
You
I've
got
got
the
the
link?
links. I've got the
Oh,
link
you don't
somewhere
want
here.
to share
Hold on a
your
sec.
notes, basically.
Uh, it's somewhere here. That's okay. I've got nothing secret in there. Other than my license key, we don't want to show that. Hold on a second. I don't have the meet.
Okay,
I thought I
so
had it
let
somewhere
me
here.
put that
What's the meeting
into the
ID? Do you have
chat.
the meeting ID? I can
No,
just type it in
I
right here.
think I'll just put the link into the meeting chat. Hang on a second. Um,
I don't know if I can get it from here.
um, can you can't get it from the Zoom
Oh yeah, here
chat?
we go. Yeah, yeah, I got it here.
Okay.
I got
Um,
chat right here.
this is like this is the current link.
Jonas has a
So
question about how many 1080p sources can Mimo take in. I've never tested that limit. I don't know.
yeah,
Is
so
there a limit?
this question I can't answer straight because um there's no limit in mimoLive, right? So the only limit is that Zoom doesn't send us like I think there used to be a limit of 100 megabits that they would send us, and that would be enough for full HD sources. But I don't know um, if that is still in place, that limit. That's something we have to ask Zoom. From mimoLive's point of view, if they remove that limit, we don't have to do anything. I don't care basically if there's a limit or not on Zoom side, because there's no limit on the mimoLive side. So we can have 16 sources or more, and the resolution will depend on how much data Zoom sends us.
I'm just
Last I
trying to.
know,
Oh, there we go.
it has been changed so that all the apps can use the same bandwidth, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
you can't see because I'm only sharing one desktop and I've got multiple monitors here.
Oh yeah.
This is the meeting. I'm gonna move it to
Yeah,
another
move it
window
to
here.
another screen, and then you have to click on the request recording permissions thing button.
Yeah, I'm doing that now.
Now that the button is just below that. the button. Button.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So now we have all the video and audio from that, so we can.
Great. So now I should get a list of participants here, and
Yeah.
it looks like I've got them in there, so I can start moving people in.
So now if you do that, and then you click, yeah, you assign someone, and then you click in the Zoom meeting, in the name of the source, and just remove the source, the name. No, let me see. So where it says Zoom meeting,
Yeah.
yeah, just double click there and just remove it, just clear it, and then yeah. And then
Oh, I see what you're saying.
if you add it to the image, to the layer stack, it should take in the name of the person that's there.
Okay. Let's just add all our sources here and get them in.
So what I would recommend doing at this point is I would recommend to turn on the multiview so we see all the sources actually. So you go to the far right side of the screen, and
I'm just
there's
trying
like
to get
there's two
this.
buttons.
Yeah, hold on a second. I just have the Zoom meeting share toolbars in the way, and I can't see.
Okay.
Just trying to see if I can get this. Can I get this out of the way?
Move them out of the way.
There's no. I wish you can. Can you not move this thing vertically? I'm trying
You
to
should
get this
move. You should be able to move it to the other screen. Even.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Let me just slide it out. Okay. I'll move it onto my other monitor here. Okay. So, what do we want? We want the multi-view. Where is that? One of these buttons here.
Yeah, this one.
That column, is that what you're
and
talking
then
about?
you just make the column wider. Yeah, just make it much wider because we don't need any of the output destination things. So I would just make it as wide as possible. And then,
Well, we're gonna need to add some output destinations too, right?
yeah, but they don't take that much space. So what you do is you click on in the column, in the multiview one column, at the top, there's these three buttons things, to the right, top right, in the column, in the multiview column. Yeah, this one.
Right.
And there you can put it to, let's do 9. So we also have like program output, and you can first screen exposed. What that does is it makes the program output large and the other one small. So that's what you used to. And yeah, now you can actually do 10. So you can add your own. Yeah.
Let's just do 10. All right, so let's add the rest of these people here. If I can just click inside this box. There we go. Okay, so we got John. Let's put Sarah in there. Doesn't want to delete that. Come on. There we go. And put Susan in there. Now, does this test meeting, there's only 8 people in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. How many boxes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And Susan. Let's make sure I'm not repeating myself here.
Well, that's why you have the multiview. You would see the,
yeah.
If you assign them to the multiview, you would see what exactly that is.
So that see the other thing though is if we don't put names on these Zoom sources though, in the multi-view they just show up as this.
Yeah. But this is gonna be fixed as soon as you select them.
Ah, gotcha. Ooh, two Elenas? No. Okay, John, Sarah. Put Susan in there. There's two Susans. I've got a duplicate somewhere here. Elena, John, Sarah, Susan. Am I missing something here? Do we not
Is
have
maybe
Annika?
one is missing in the meeting. Let's check if they are all 8 are online. Maybe
Annika,
there's
Luis,
sometimes one
Michelle,
is sometimes one is
Elena,
missing in the
John,
meeting.
Sarah,
So
Susan. Four, five, six. Yeah, we're missing one. So we have
okay.
7 in that meeting.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
gonna
that's fine.
be automatically resetting in a few minutes, and then we have
Okay.
all 8 again.
Okay. Okay, so one of the other things that I like doing is I like putting things into groups too, just for organization purposes. So I'm going to just call this Zoom ISO. And we'll just put all this stuff in. I guess I could have renamed that. Rename group. That way I can collapse. When one of the things I find is when you get a lot of sources in here, you really start using groups because then you can start collapsing things easily.
That's what
Otherwise,
they
it
are for.
becomes really really chaotic. You got to organize stuff. Okay, all right. So now we can. I think Oliver, we can probably just start adding these to the layer stack, right?
I would, we would.
Oh,
What's
we
the
should probably
first
add our
thing we want to
graphics
do is
too.
first thing is probably we just want to do we just want to have a generic switcher. I don't know,
Hmm.
maybe
Well, why don't
um
I add all the graphics and sort because like I
yeah,
haven't added those yet. We should probably add all our assets and everything that we need here.
yes.
So let's just
You
do
just
that.
drag them in probably from the Finder.
And I'm going to give these a better name. So I'm going to call this countdown.
Yeah, these funny names are because that's what mimoLive does to the name when you actually
Yep.
drag it into mimoLive. It gives them like a unique name identifier. So it doesn't get confused by the name. But yeah.
Extra hours coming soon. Oh, starting soon. That's what it says. Okay, drag and drop. Of course, it put it in that group here. Let me just create a new group here.
I don't think you have another group, right? So
No, I don't.
that's
No, I
why
don't.
why you have to add a group and call that assets or whatever.
Now, the question is, can I select all
I
of
think you
these?
can
Will
only
I?
select one at a time, but you might be able to select multiple. It's like,
Yeah. If I can get this up there now, that's going to be the
mm,
challenge. It might be easier to just delete them and bring them in again.
re-add them, yes.
That's what I'm going to do.
Just make sure that you drop them in the right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So they're in there now, and
So
the
we will have the
countdown.
background. That's the first thing we might have. So just drag that into the,
I'm going to set this
oh
to
yeah,
loop
loop.
as well
Yes,
because it's got
exactly.
a, yeah, it's supposed to
Yeah,
play at all times.
yeah.
Okay.
You
I
just
think
put
that's
that
it for.
in.
Hmm.
Just put that into the layer stack as the first thing.
Yeah.
That's probably, yep. Nice.
Okay, countdown. So that's the first thing we see there, starting soon. Just gonna reorder this stuff. Okay, so that's that. And then of course our Zoom ISO, our sources here, so those have to go in too.
Well, I wouldn't do that as a placer because
Okay.
we want them as, multiple ups. And if
Okay.
we don't want them, so the very first layout we can do, the easiest one is the split screen. So we just go and check out the split screen, and so we'll at the top because we want to see the people at the top. So, and then we can select we can say, okay, we want a layout that is like 2 by 4. So that is basically the most basic layout. 2 by 4. Oh, maybe 4 by 2. Sorry.
That's yeah, that's gonna be
Yeah.
squished. Uh,
All right.
okay,
So,
that's a start.
okay. So we can, I think you can just assign the 8 things to that. Um,
Well, I think we have 7 people right now, unless that the eighth bot managed to get back into the meeting.
it might have. Um,
I can check. Do I have to reconnect, or is it gonna
no,
do
no,
that
no,
on?
no. Yeah. If people join, that's just gonna be, it's still 7, right? That's the,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just a quick question. Can you have these assigning people to boxes as iPad buttons?
Um, not in no no not in this not in this case. What you would do is you would have to um we would have to build this from scratch using picture-in-picture boxes, and then we would have to have like one box for each person. Then we could make sort of like a matrix mixer where you can select for each box, you can select a different person if you want to do that. But this is like the very first basic thing. So we can improve on that later. So
Copy. Thank you.
yeah. If you put that live, Alex,
Hmm.
um,
I just realized I have an untitled document, which is no good.
well, that should not be a good, that's not a good thing. So you save it, just save, and then it will pop up with you can select and give it a name, which is a good idea anyway at this stage. Frequent saving.
There it is.
All right.
We'll
So
get we'll get into the we can get into the remote control stuff later. I just wanted to
yeah, yeah,
go
yeah.
over.
Just let's do some basic, layout. I would turn on the background and then turn on
Yeah.
the multi-view, then the pip
Uh,
the split screen.
One
Then
thing
we
I'm going to
can,
do is just disable the show names.
yep.
I don't think we need that in there.
And you
We're
might
going to be
want to set the some of the geometric things to more sensible
yeah.
values. For example, the top and bottom and left and right. Um, it's wasting a lot of space, so
Yeah,
you
so
might want to.
let me just make this bigger here so I can sort of see this a little.
If you really want to work with the preview, you can pop it out at the
Yes.
you can pop it out using the pop out button. Yeah. So now you can actually
Okay. I'm just gonna move
manipulate
this to another
directly.
monitor just so I can see what I'm doing here. Excuse me. But let's add that background and then we can change the
Yeah.
add the design. So we've got the and I should give these placers a name because this is not helpful at all.
Yeah. Good idea.
Okay, so those have a name now. Let's go back to our split screen. Okay, so now we need to replace the background, which is set to color. So I'm going to set that to custom. And for the source, now we just...
I would just set it to none, to be honest, because then whatever is in the background is in the background. So
right, but how would you get that? How would you make that visible though?
yeah, you turn on the background layer.
Oh, right, it's not live.
Basically.
Of course, we got to make
No.
that source live. Okay, all right. So I'll just
You have to make the background and the split screen live, and then you'll have both and the background. There it is.
Good. All right.
I still think the rounded corners are a little bit over the top, and but
Yeah,
you know, I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, so
we can change that. See the other cool feature, I discovered this recently. I kind of like this highlighting feature where it puts the border around the box when that person's talking, which is kind of cool. Although it's not doing it now for some reason, automatically based on audio.
Well, you have to assign the audio to that.
Audio
So one thing is right now we don't get audio into
because we haven't added the audio sources.
we don't have don't have added audio layers,
right?
Which is the layers define what's in the audio engine. So you have to put in one audio layer for each of the Zoom callers, basically.
Yeah, let's do that before we really need to do all the basic stuff before we start.
Yeah, and I would put that on the top, on the bottom, and then just put 8 more, and then.
Oliver, why would you do this? Why would you do this? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah. I've never used the duplicate layer feature, so I'm kind of, oh, you can do it this way. Yeah.
Why would you add the audio layers and don't use the audio from the Zoom sources?
We are using the audio from the Zoom sources, but in order for the audio from the Zoom sources to be in the program feed, in the program output, you have to have at least one layer that has that audio and has it also turned on, because that's how the audio engine is wired up. It's like if you have the audio just in the source, then you won't hear it in the output. You have to actually pick some, a layer, and the reason for that is that you can use the layers, turn off on the layers to make the audio go on and off.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, you don't get surprise audio because there's one source.
Yeah, dedicated
and
layer.
And the thing
Copy.
is, if you look at the layer stack, then the top layer, the split screen layer, doesn't have an audio dial. And that means if the sources are just used in a layer without an audio dial, then there's no audio. So if you want to use them like we do now, we have to put in an audio layer for each of the sources so we can have audio from each of them, with the added benefit that we can mute them, from the remote control or from the app. So
Copy that. Thank you.
so and now you see the program out, and the audio meter is showing that there's audio from the Zoom call now. And now we can use the highlight feature, because that's like, now the highlight feature actually gets audio and can process that. So that's how that works. Which is another feature I didn't know about. Achim, you sneaky bastard. Putting in audio, he's putting in features that I'm not aware of.
Okay, so I guess let's make these borders less round. So where that would be under geometry, right, Oliver?
Yeah, it's no, it's gonna be in
Border radius.
appearance. Yes, border radius. I would, the current thing is, I think, yeah. I hope we can add these new Apple borders things that are not round. They are what's called a squircle. So
Squircle.
squircle. Yeah. So they basically, an in-between of a square and a circle. So it's
Okay, well,
crazy.
so I think that is less egregious. Now I think there's just too much padding on the
Yeah, so we would
outside.
you would go to the settings and just, put like 100 100 maybe on each side, or maybe less, maybe 80. I don't know. How much do you want? And you just put the same value in all four, and then it will just automatically fill out the space. And then you can, you could also add spacing between the tiles, and then um, so now we have a nice gallery view.
Yeah, it's a bit better.
Yeah.
Can I jump in a second, please?
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things that I would do at this point, which I really like in mimoLive, I'd go back to the sources. And for the people who aren't centered, I would centralize them, put in the function that allows them to be centered. So then you get the two top left-hand, for example, boxes centered properly without you
That's a
having
good
to
point.
do that. Yeah. So under Zoom ISO, just select the first guy. I think his name was John. Yeah, John up there. Then you've got the function, click, then go down to
Face tracking.
face tracking, exactly.
It's in the upper part. The first until the
That
first
you were
divider.
you were just about there.
Okay, let me
Until the
just try
first
that again.
divider, all the filters are made by us. The lower ones are made by Apple. So you need to find it
Ah,
in the upper one as a face. It's called face tracking.
Correct.
there we go. And
And
now
then
he's
he's
Yeah.
there.
It's right in the middle, and that looks really good now. And you can do the same with the girl. And this is really useful when you're framing these narrow frames, when you have a speaker who's moving slightly to the left or to the right and going out of frame. It keeps him there.
Let me try. Is that one
Auto
of them on
framing.
the focus tracking?
How much CPU overload does this produce? Could you,
So
do you have an idea?
uh, to see if the computer can handle this, we can go to the Alex, can you go to the window menu? And there's like two things, and there's the render performance monitor and the source performance monitor. The render performance monitor tells you basically if the render stack, if the layer stack can be rendered in time for one frame, and as long as it's green, there's no problem. And the other thing you can check is, like, you see now it takes, I can't read that. Takes yeah.
Well, it's What do you want to read there? Are you looking at
Well,
split screen?
the data up there, it's like where it says
Like,
frame, how much time do we have for each frame, and
I
then
think
how
so
much
it
are we?
says split screen. It says render time. It's hovering around 8
No, it's
milliseconds
like
right now.
the tile, the upper
Oh,
left tile.
uh,
It's
it
like the
says
sum of all of this. So
yeah.
it's like
Actual render time is around 15, 16, 17 milliseconds. It says.
okay. And the other one is the source performance monitor, and the source performance monitor that tells us um, how well the sources and the filters perform. And so that is like
Face
what?
tracking, it there
Yeah,
shows 20 something milliseconds there.
yeah. So it might not be possible to do the face tracking on all eight on this machine without running into
See, I
some,
can see my CPU usage is increasing quite a bit already. So
yeah,
now, because we've got 8 people plus we've now let me just take those off. I've got just a vanilla baseline M4 Mac Mini with 16 gigs of
yeah.
RAM here on this. So I probably wouldn't run that. I'd rather people just stay in the center of their frame.
Yeah,
But it's a
wishful
really cool
thinking, but
feature. It's a very
yeah.
cool feature. It's a very useful feature,
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
I must admit, I have used that before.
Yeah.
So let me just take this off of John. Okay, so I've taken that off now. Yeah, like usually I try to make sure that my system is not going past 60% would be the upper limit of what I would feel comfortable. And actually, it's using quite a bit. Like with these 8 sources right now, it says total system CPU in. I have iStat menus on here, and it's saying it's about 75%, which is a little high for me. Um, so this is
Where
actually
does it where does it say that? Is that
in iStat menus here.
the value for mimoLive, or is that the
No,
value
no,
for
just
the
total
total?
system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's using 80% of my GPU right now. That's what's being used right now. So a lot of that's going to the graphics card, and the CPU is working fairly hard here.
How
Yeah,
much is
mostly.
mimoLive? How much of that is
Well, it's
mimoLive?
saying for CPU, it's saying almost 50%,
Okay.
and then Zoom is taking. Well, I've got the Zoom meeting client open on this computer to screen share, which is taking about 7% or 7.5. So normally I wouldn't be running a separate Zoom client at the same time as Mimo, so that would probably save me a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think for extra hours, I mean, I've been watching it every week since it came out. I think 8 people's probably larger than the average size of that panel anyway. It's usually 6 people or less.
Can I ask you a quick question about that, Alex?
Yeah.
Um, what about if you were also encoding?
Well, that's the thing. So we haven't even started live streaming. That's I'm actually kind
Well,
of
you can
concerned now. Just looking at it.
that's not taking a lot of CPU. So if you just add like a recording and a live stream, do you have a can you live stream somewhere now, or do we have to?
I could set up a test. I mean, I can hook it up to my YouTube account, do a test stream. Let's do that right now. Stand by.
But if I can jump in while Alex is doing that, Oliver, I don't use a standard M4 or M2. I have a Pro or a Max, and they have a multiple encoding chipset. And then you don't get this sort of usage. I have never seen this sort of usage on mimoLive on that equipment. If I'm over 30, 35, then that's max.
Well, you have to realize that we're now producing a 4K output, which is like 4 times as much as normally.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So that's like we're taking these 1080 sources and then we're making a 4K video out of it, which is awesome quality, but also takes like, 4 times as many resources. But it still works, and I think we can safely use that Mac Mini for producing that show, so without having to worry about performance. And I think we can also record it and stream it to YouTube or whatever it's streamed to, without issues, because also the M4 also has encoding chips, and so the H.264 encoding for the stream and for the recording will not impact CPU performance.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oliver, another question. Could you produce a 1080 document and stream it in 4K out of Mimo?
You can now, yes.
Oh, great.
But you may not need it anymore, because this thing with the VP9 encoding pipeline that you supposedly get when you do higher resolution streams to YouTube, that seems no longer to be the case. I've tested that a couple of times over the last weeks and always got a VP9 encoding pipeline, which
Interesting.
also might be a feature of mimoLive, actually, because as I remember correctly, in the early days of YouTube, some apps got special treatment. So it might be that if you use the mimoLive API, the API support to stream to YouTube, that it's recognizing that it's a supported encoder, and they do that because they think, I think the assumption was that if you stream higher resolutions, you're a more serious streamer. But also, if you use a professional tool like mimoLive, you're also probably a more serious streamer. So I'm not sure. Might be, I just wanted to, we just released that feature where you can set up the output. If you do ISO recording or ISO streaming, you can set separate resolution and frame rate. And I was testing that, and I always got a VP9 pipeline, so I'm not sure if that
Copy
is.
that. And did you always use the YouTube RTMP, or did you also try custom RTMP? Because my find is that if you use custom RTMP, you have to send a higher resolution, and if you use the YouTube RTMP, then you can send then you get to the VP9
Okay.
pipeline.
I'm always using the API integration, so I'm like logging on to
Yeah.
YouTube with mimoLive, and then I can select the stream from my pop-up menus there.
Yeah.
And that's what I haven't. Oh yeah, I should probably use the stream key and ingest thing.
Yeah, try it at least. Because my issue is from most of the time I don't get the login data from the client's YouTube account, so I have to use some custom RTMP.
RTMP. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now you
Just
can,
send it-
if you
send it
have to
send.
do that, you can actually let me see if that is in the release already. It might be a feature of the let me see. Yeah, it's already in the release, 6.11 release. So, or is that 6.11? Or is that? Hang on. Oh yeah, 6.11. So the 6.11 release lets you set like different output frame rate and resolution.
Yeah, great.
And
That
That
that's
solves the
what I'm
problem.
doing. Yeah, and that's what I'm doing here. So you can see I've set up an output destination for custom RTMP, and I set the frame rate to program output. So it's always going to be locked to what the document or what I've defined there, which is 30.
Yeah. Well, as
we're
long as you stream the program outputs, then that's the default setting, right? The thing only comes into play if you want to change that, or if you do ISO recording and want to have a different or a specific frame rate and resolution. So for example, the Zoom sources do not always send you constant frame rates and constant resolution. Zoom varies the resolution and the frame rate to make sure, depending on your bandwidth. So what we found is that the ISO recording that we had previously would do, and I think Robert, did you fall into that? Somebody reported that.
I had that issue.
Yeah, you had that issue where
Yeah.
like the recording
The
wasn't
video that was recorded ended up
yes.
being half the frame rate. It was like
Well,
15 frame rates.
it's even worse. It probably ended up being non-constant frame rate, so variable
So I
frame rate.
couldn't fix it in
Yes.
post. I had to.
And the variable frame rate is means that no nonlinear editor can actually use any of that video. So if you're doing ISO recording to be able to edit this then later in Final Cut or in DaVinci Resolve or in Adobe Premiere, then you will never get like a synchronized video out of it. So
Okay, so I've put in my stream key. I guess do
yeah,
I need
and
the?
You
I've
have it
never
in
done this
reverse
before.
Alexander.
John.
You have the URL with the key in it.
I
and
see that.
stream key.
Yeah. That's why it's not working. Thank you.
So I think Jonas had a question while we're doing this. Jonas, you had a question earlier. Are you able to specify what resolution you want to pull from the Zoom meeting? There is a setting, but we haven't been able to actually make that work because Zoom does seem to ignore it. And this is a very strange thing because it's like it's setting sort of the upper limit of what they sent you. But if you send it to 480, they still send you 1080. So I don't know how that should work. And also, I don't really think that's an issue because if we had 16 sources, we would automatically get lower resolution. So if the bandwidth isn't enough to get all the data, Zoom will automatically reduce the resolution for the Zoom sources. Which is also why we had to change the ISO recording thing, because some people started with like 480 by whatever, and that's the resolution that the ISO recording then had, and that's not good. All right, so we're streaming. Do we also want to
We
record?
are, and I have a test stream link.
I'd be interested to know how much your CPU usage has changed with the streaming and one NDI output.
I will tell you that in a second. Let me just post in the if anyone wants to look at this. So we're streaming at 4K. Let me just get to the how do I get back to the Zoom chat here? Let's just go into my own private test, unlisted test stream so you can see it. My CPU hasn't changed that much. I'm surprised by this, Oliver. So we're now streaming
I'm
at
not
4K.
because actually there's not the CPU doesn't have to do a lot if you send data out, and the encoding is all done by a hardware chip. So it's not surprising that you won't see any impact on
I'm seeing
CPU.
like a couple percent difference, but it's more or less around 70. It's hovering around 73% right now.
Yeah. And if you add like a recording now, then you will see that also doesn't change much.
So let's try that. Let's try, you know what? And I'm gonna get I'm going to try a file recording. Let's try recording to ProRes 422. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Shouldn't do anything either because the 422, the Mac Mini also has a ProRes encoder in hardware. So it should be the same, non-issue.
That's the nice thing about Apple Silicon chips. Let's just say, I'll just do 422 LT. That's probably good enough. So, yeah, end up with like an 80 gig file. Okay, so video size. This is also another new feature all around. You want to talk about this in the last update about the you sort of briefly touched on it, but in the ISO record, we've got frame rate or video resolution settings as well. Same as video source or same as program output.
Yeah, for ISO recording, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to set it to program output. So my document size that we defined at the beginning is set to 4K, I'm just going to choose the upscaled version to record. Frame rate, I'm going to say same as program output, so that should be 30. Now audio quality, I don't want AAC. I'm going to want linear PCM. So give it the highest quality possible, and you'll see the bit rate option is not modifiable because it's recording uncompressed. So, all right, so I'm going to hit record. And my CPU is now, what is it at? 75. So it really hasn't changed. Not much. So that's the ProRes encode decode chips on the Apple processor doing their thing.
And if you think how much we are doing right now, we are decoding 8 H.264 Full HD streams from Zoom, and we are creating a 4K stream to YouTube and a 4K stream to the disk, and that's just how much did you pay for that M4?
For the M4?
Yeah.
I got the one with this one has a 512 gig drive, so I've got the upgraded storage. I think it was about $1,000 Canadian.
Okay.
So I think it's, what is that in the US? $800?
$700.
Free, probably.
Three. Okay, don't. I know the exchange rate is bad, but don't rub it in, okay? Yeah, it's pretty impressive so far. We got a lot of stuff going on here.
Okay, so how are we going to make it more something we can actually use?
Yeah, so we're gonna want to start building out our layer sets probably, and then probably configure the remote interface so that I can cut to each individual. Probably want to think about also things like a 2-up box, and also making sure that we're designing, when we design those sort of super sources, that they have enough space for the Mukana questions at the bottom as well. So I would probably want to, Oliver, why don't we just add a 2-up? And
how do we get the Mukana questions in?
So we have to add a browser source in here.
Okay.
So
I can
probably do this. I can use my own Mukana instance here. Let me just put
so we can just show how it works.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me see if I can do this.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I can take questions. if anyone
Yeah,
has any.
let's do it. Ask away.
No questions. Good. Or not good.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, talk.
Have you ever been able to figure out the issue with the YouTube API and the title?
Oh yeah.
We're
gonna throw Oliver under the bus.
Yeah, throw me under the
I don't
bus.
know. I don't mean to do that.
I have no
just
issue
No,
with
it is
that.
annoying. It is annoying.
It's annoying, but basically the thing is, this error message comes if we send an empty title to the API, and we
So
just
the
have to.
solution is to put a title in, even though there's already a title on the
Yes,
on
but
the
it will
schedule.
overwrite the title that is already there. So
Oh, okay.
that's the little caveat of that. And yes, the solution is to put in a title.
I think I'm
But
just
the
gonna
real
continue to
solution would,
hit
of
okay because
course,
I don't
be
want it
is
to
that
overwrite.
Well,
the
the other thing is you could just use a custom RTMP server, right? Just to bypass that whole API integration thing, and just the only thing you would lose the ability to, if you use YouTube live chat and you want to use that feature, there's a checkbox in there that says receive comments automatically from YouTube. So mimoLive has an option where it can display and import those comments from the live chat, but if you don't use the YouTube integration, then you lose that feature, right, Oliver?
Yes, but
Well,
it's
and
not
I
a big
really don't
loss.
mind. I don't mind hitting okay because it's someone else who's setting up those
Oh yeah,
schedules. So that would be an additional thing for me to worry about.
okay.
Oliver, I can
Okay,
ask.
so I've
Oh, sorry,
yeah,
carry
go
on.
ahead.
If you finish, just carry on, Alex. I was going to ask a question.
Yeah, ask a question, Robert.
I've been playing with simultaneous horizontal and vertical streaming from a meeting, and I've been doing that using two documents running at the same time to get the different formats. Is that the right way to do it, or is there a better way to do that?
That is exactly the right way to do it, because you want to have like specific mixes for each. So basically, what you can do is you can use the same sources in two different documents, and then you have one document for vertical and one document for horizontal video, and then you can even use one for multicam switching, and then send the mix or send the switched version to the second document using the siphon sender and siphon receiver, and so you don't have to actually do a lot of the switching twice. Yeah.
That hasn't been. I haven't been very successful with that one because the format changes too much.
Okay.
And so I've had it on switching it on two different layer, two different documents at the same time simultaneously.
Yes. Yeah, but that's the correct way to do it.
Perfect, thank you. And is there a clever way of automating the switching so that I only have one place to press to switch both at the same time? If I'm using layer sets.
You could use an automation to send, if you set up a remote access, a remote control panel, like Alex does now, you could actually use an automation layer to sort of relay the command to the second document. But that's like, very shaky. It's like
Okay,
it's
so
not
it's
not
not
something that is like, highly recommended to do.
okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So
So I've
Alex,
added Mukana.
are we back into the
Yeah, so I've added Mukana. Oh, I just lost. I'm just gonna make a button so I can activate it remotely here. That should turn on that layer. So what I've done is I've added a web browser source,
mm-hmm.
and I called it Mukana. I put in the lower third URL, and it should make that question live. But now, of course, we've got to add a new picture-in-picture thing. We need to build a new layout for this. So
Well, the thing
probably
you have to do in first place is you have to put the Mukana layer on top of the layer stack because it's now behind
right.
everything.
But yeah, we can do that. But I want to build a new two up here. So I guess
Okay.
that would just be a picture-in-picture window, right?
Well, there's two ways, right? You could do the you
Or is
could
it
use the
split? I
split
can't
screen.
remember.
You could use the
Might
split
be
screen layout.
I think that's what I use normally.
And
Let's call this 8 up, 2 up. Okay, so we go to our layout and make that live.
but now, if you use that, you're sort of you fixed what's gonna be the two people that are
Right.
on this
That's
thing.
actually I'm glad we're kind of doing this because that's one of the things that I find with my show is that I've really had to I had to build a ton of different layouts
Yeah.
and then because I got to make sure that those people are assigned, and so this has also my setup is not really great for like on the fly changes. I've designed it in
Mm-hmm.
such a way that I really have to set it up ahead of time.
Yeah. Well, I mean
So I'm open to suggestions, Oliver, about
you should also not. I mean, um, on the fly changes are not a good thing anyway.
that's true.
But having a tool that allows you to do certain things. So let's say we want to have a two up um, usually the moderator and a guest, right? So
Right. Right.
we could do that either by making 8 variations of that two up and just you know let's run through that.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Just click on the
We
so
can make you're talking about making a layer variant, right?
yeah, before you do that, select like Susan Chow is the moderator. So if you select her, and then you go and select like another one person, Anna. Yeah, just go from the top. So we want to turn off the labels again, probably, or do you want the labels? I don't know.
No, I want the names off here. Okay.
Yeah. So now,
And
what
then
we would do is we would have like a variation. Um, yeah, do that
I
before
need to
you.
make space for the question box
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
That's the thing.
Do we have a question in the
I
Mukana
put a
thing?
test question in and
Yeah,
I'm
so
not seeing it. So,
yeah, because you have to drag the Mukana thing onto the top of the.
well,
Oh,
it's
okay.
there at the top of the list stack
Okay,
already.
so click on open browser window in the source.
I'm not seeing it there though.
So one thing on the top right, there's there's a button with the three dots.
Oh, hold on a second. I think it's my fault here. There we go. Now, it's my fault. I
Well,
didn't
you
make
would
it
still
active in the
want to
system.
lock the resolution of that. So go to that, yeah,
Yeah.
and then switch from custom dimensions to, whatever 4K, I think.
Document size, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I was running into an issue with this. So I set it to document size, but how come the resolution here, these
Yeah, I
dimensions
think
don't
you should
change?
select not document size, select 4K. I think that's the
But that the
2110.
document size is 4K though.
Yeah, but select 2160p. And that's
Current available screen size is insufficient.
okay. Yeah. So let's do 1080. I mean, it's like it's not that big of a deal.
Oops, portrait. I selected the wrong one. 1080p.
And now you click on locked. Oh, you're too fast.
So go back and lock it, you're saying?
Yes. That's so you can't accidentally change the screen size.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay, and let's so now we gotta let's just do this. 25. Okay.
So if you want to move the question down a little bit, you click there and you go to geometry and you set it to custom. Set it to, no. Set it to custom. Custom, and then you can use the handles in the preview to move it to where you want to. And then you of course have to make the zoom factor like 150%, I think, or 200. 200 probably. No, that's too much. And then you move it up a little bit again, and then there you go.
Is there any way, can you snap it to the center so that it always
No,
stays
but
there?
you can then go in and correct the values so that they're the same for they should be 0 because it's like, so the left should be 0. And then it's already.
It's the X position, Alex.
Position X, yeah.
It's the position X.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't. For some reason, I don't get like the full resolution here in my. Even though I have. Let me see how much bandwidth do I have. I should have a lot of bandwidth.
I'm not getting the full resolution either. I'm getting 720p on the stream, on the screen share.
I said I selected optimize for video on the screen share.
Oh, that's the problem.
That's the problem?
Yes. Because that's like making sure so optimize for video means that it's making sure that you have a decent frame rate so you can play video. It doesn't stutter. If you do not optimize for then if you do not do that, then it will just use the entire screen.
So optimize for resolution.
Yeah, optimize for resolution, and it will drop the frame rate if it doesn't have enough. So you would awesome. Didn't know why that.
Much better.
Much better. Awesome.
There we go. Sorry, I didn't realize I should have done that from the start.
Well, it's yeah.
If only there were some Zoom pros in the room.
I don't really use. So I normally when I share stuff, I use my ATEM to share. So I don't. This just goes to show you how often I use Zoom screen share. But I just learned something. So there you go. Okay, so there we go. Now we need the background visible in this thing.
Yeah, so we have to turn off the background. None. Set it to none. Set it to none. Set it to none. Not custom, none. So yeah. Now you see the 8 up in the
Yeah.
background because that's still selected. So you turn that off. All
There we
right.
go.
So that's
All
it.
right. Well, it's coming together.
Yeah. So
And let me just make sure this is a dissolve, not a cut. There we go. Just make sure
all
it's
right.
nice and smooth.
Looks good.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay.
you might want to change the border width again. The
Yes.
radius, border
The
radius.
radius, yeah. What did I set
Yeah.
it to on the other one? Let me go
I don't
down
know.
here. Border radius, I set it to 41.
Corner radius 41,
Or
and on the other
corner,
one it was
yeah.
like, yeah.
Corner radius. There we go.
Okay.
We can full. I'm looking at this full screen. It looks pretty good. Make this a little bit bigger so you can see that. Okay. Next step, Oliver. What do you think? So we gotta duplicate these, create layer variants, right? For
Well,
every so that the host.
so now we could make like 8 variations, so that's always the host with someone else, and then you
Right.
would have to pick them. Not sure if so we could build this layout using picture-in-picture window setup, and that would allow us to have multiple different we would still have to have different layers for other people, but we can have like a more well, no, it doesn't make a sense. It doesn't make a difference between because you still have to have like all the buttons for everyone. So
Oliver, you said something earlier when I asked if you could choose the boxes with buttons. You said something could be possible. Was it this way you described just now, or
yeah,
did you have
So
something different in mind?
No. What you would do is you would do uh you would set a well, we could use an automation layer to actually assign a specific source to one layout. So we could do that. So we could make sort of like a virtual, you know, virtual, a placeholder. So it would be, this would be only one, and you would select who is the guest they would talk to, using an automation layer. I'm just thinking if that is something uh, we should do now because we're running at the 1 hour 30
No
minute
worries.
mark. So
No worries. I was just asking.
yeah, so of course you can use the API to assign, sources to that slot. So if you have a list of sources, you can use the API and say, okay, I want this person to be in that slot. This is not how this is designed, but it can be done. And I'm thinking if for the layouts for the show, it makes sense because we have 1 3 up layout, right? Where we have, or more, maybe even 4. So we want to be able to select who is in the
Right.
4.
I think there's a couple of things that are going to have to happen. So I think, like we talked about at the beginning, I think for extra hours, 8 is probably on the larger size for that panel. But I'm gonna have to build, like, if I want everybody to be seen on screen, I'm probably gonna have to build several grid layouts, like maybe one for 6 and one for a group of 4. And then for the 2-up thing, I'm gonna have to make a 2-up version for every single person potentially that could be
8.
on there, right?
Yeah,
Can you not grab active
8
speaker?
by, I mean, if you want to have like if you want to have a two up and you want to have to be able to say in the one there should be Alex and the other should be Guy, and then you want to have Guy in the first and someone else in the second, that's gonna be
Yeah, just a thought. That's something I usually do with mix effect on the atoms or with vmix and companion, I believe. So I have like presets for one up, two up, three up, and so on. And I have some button matrix that I can quickly assign the panelists to the boxes. And I think this is like from the flexibility standpoint, maybe this would be the cleverest way, but I don't know if it's possible in Mimo.
Yeah, I mean, we can do, let's do the low key version of that. So instead of the two up layout, let's use a two pip window things. So yeah.
So what am I selecting? Just pip?
Yeah,
Or
pip window.
Pip window. Okay.
Pip window, and you want two of those.
Two separate
Yeah,
ones.
two separate ones. Yeah. So
Okay.
now, just to quickly put this together and without having to fiddle around with the layouts a little, just make him live, both, and then just
Make
move the
both live.
one
Okay.
over to the
Yep.
left. Just move one over to the left. So just grab it and move it to the other side. Yeah. So just
And
so
what are
we
we trying
can,
to do with this, Oliver? Like, what is this going to accomplish?
yeah,
How is this different from?
we're gonna make sure that you don't have to make 16 permutations of the two up to get everyone in each.
Yeah.
So because what we would do is like we would go and select for the pip window, select the first one, select as a
Right.
source the first. Just don't move it around. Just leave it where it is, like for now. We just don't
Okay. Well, we'll fix
just
that later.
yeah, we'll fix that later. So now we go and select these as a video source. We select for the first one we select Annika, yeah, or Susan or whatever. And then for the second one you select also Annika.
Two Anikas?
Yeah. So
All
now
right.
we make 8 variations of that of each of them. So just go to the plus button in the variations there and just make 8.
And we're going to
And
do
the
that
other,
for each layer?
yes, yes.
Okay.
And now we assign a different person to each of the variations. So select the
I
second
see.
variation in the pip window in the first one, and then
Yep.
select some other person, and we do that for each of the of those, right?
I don't know why Susan shows up twice. That's weird.
Yeah, because we have selected her twice in the sources. And do the
Do we
same for the
still
other
have
pip
do we
window.
still have do we still have 7 people too? We probably do.
Yeah,
Uh
yeah.
where do we I don't see anyway, I'll come back to that.
Do that for the
Okay.
second pip window.
Okay. lost now. I have John, Sarah, and Susan.
Yeah, two placeholder A or whatever. It's no big thing. So now we can go to the remote control thing. And yeah. And then go to edit mode, and then that's now with your method, that's a pain in the ass. But now we go to the pip window. Yeah, and then we just drag in all variants, the button things. No, not one after all 8 at the same time.
Oh, you can do that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so pip
There's
window.
like this all variants thing.
Oh, all variants. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know you could do that.
Okay. So
And let's make those buttons bigger.
now you have to move them around. So let's keep them small for now because you can do that later on. This is like
Let me just move these here.
let's leave it at that now.
Just leave it like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so now you can select basically the if you put it live, you can select from that what's going to be in the first window, right?
Just turned it off though.
Yeah. Well, if you have it already on, then it turns it off.
I see.
But you can just select whoever is going to be in that
That's actually
window.
That's cool.
And then you do the same thing for the other one. And then you just if you put them under each other, you can select one from this and one from the other line, and then you'll have also two. So the only thing now is that, of course, when you switch to that, it's going to be visible unless you switch to something else first. So now you can select, who is in the first, and you can select who's in the second.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about.
Yeah. So the trick now to make that so that you can pre-select basically who's there, that is more tricky.
Would this be better with layer sets where I can control force certain things to be turned off when I switch to it?
The thing is that you have a matrix now, right? You have 2 by 8, so you have basically 16 different configurations, minus 2 because there can't be the same people and the same, both people, both windows shouldn't have the same person, right? So if you want to do that with layer sets, you will again have to make all the combinations. And that's what we don't want. We don't want to have all the combinations. So I think the way to do this is to actually use automation layers to assign whoever. And I have to think about how to do that. John Wallace asks, are you able to use the active speaker feed to feed box B? That's a good idea. Yes, we could do that, which is exactly what we... Yeah.
But you need it to be a mix minus, right? Because if the other person is speaking, it'll be there twice.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
Everyone but the host.
It would be cool if you can do that, right?
Well, I'll just have to build a lot of buttons on the interface, which it's not a big deal.
No. We should do this properly. I'm just have to think if we can make it a little easier. Maybe we can come up with a method that allows you to have a layer that selects a source for a specific other layer.
Do you have logic for video follows audio?
We do have logic for video follows audio, but only in a switcher. So we can't have two up and say, put up the two people who have spoken. And the problem with putting the second window into, putting the video follows audio in the second window is, of course, that you will still have the mix minus issue. So if in this case the first person speaks and is in the second video in the second, it will also show up in the second window because the active speaker is, if she talks, then the second window would show her as well.
Oliver, we'd made this, and Alex, I'd made a suggestion that we have a separate session on just on audio routing because it's a big topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, because we can talk. We can set something up like that for sure. Because I
well,
do
the
a lot with
audio, but the audio
Dante.
routing doesn't. Yeah, but the audio routing doesn't have to do anything with this problem, because it's audio follows video follows audio is a special use case. But let me think. Maybe we can. Maybe we can come up with something. I'm not able to do that on the fly now, but I can. We can think
So
about
one of
that.
the things that happens in Zoom ISO is that you have unique speaker, which is a different than active speaker. And so that would be one solution for this in a pinch, is to use unique speaker output from a Zoom ISO machine into there. And then just assign all of the ones you have in mimoLive directly, and it won't do any of the others. Or the main speaker or whatever you want.
Yeah, but then
That's
we would be in Zoom with two apps on the same computer, which causes a lot of overhead. So yeah, I think that's a good that would be a workaround, but probably not a very good one. Let me. Yeah, I think we should bump that thing to another workshop, to be honest, because that's gonna be an entire different thing. So Alex, for now, let's assume that we can actually define who's in that window from outside the pip window, so we don't need the 7 variations. So you can set up everything. We would probably not even have to have that. Let me see. I'm getting curious here.
Alex, maybe save in between if you didn't do for a while.
I haven't saved in a while. Yeah, I should do that. Thank you.
Saving is always good. Do I have a split screen? I don't have a split screen. Let me see. Split screen. Can I actually get the... Might not be able to get the... Where's the split screen? Where is it?
I'll mess with this later. Let me just go file save. Okay. Sorry, Oliver, what else did you want to do now?
Yeah, I'm just quickly checking if I can. We'll have to come back with this, being able to assign a person to that slot before switching that on, because that's what you want. You want like a line of buttons on your remote control where you can select like, maybe if you have a 4 up, you want to select who is number 1, who's number 2, who's number 3, who's number 4. And then you want that to be assigned to the proper layers, to the proper pip window layers.
Okay.
And that's what I'm thinking about. Unfortunately, my brother isn't available now. He would be able to do that on the fly, but I have to actually look into that, and we'll have to do that one other day. So for now, I think we want to we may want to use the two up and then just have the combination of host and guest, and the host will be the same every time.
Right. Yes,
yeah.
you're saying don't even use the pip windows for now?
For now, no. Yeah.
Should I just get rid of them? Are we not going to use them, or?
We should, I mean, yeah, I think probably we should get rid of them and then come back to them when we want to do that again.
Okay. So just delete them
Yeah.
from the template. So basically what you're saying is we use the two up. I create layer variants where the host in every single variant is always visible, and then I just insert each
Then you
individual.
just have buttons where you say, you know, I want the host and guy, and then you can switch to that immediately. Right. And we should probably
then
do
how
the
we
same.
would do that would be with a layer stack, right? So I would have a layer stack for every single variation, right? So it'd be like two up with Alex, two up with Guy, two up.
Yeah, it would have variations of the two up.
Yeah.
So if you get rid of the pip windows now, we can just do that. And
by the way, I've never done this while simultaneously streaming and recording and making changes at the same time.
Yes, impressive. So yeah, save.
Okay, so I'll just go
go to the two up,
variants.
and then yes, exactly, and then just make variants like 7 or so, and then we'll have, or 8, and then 7, because we always have 1, so 1 and 2. So
I can give this a name. We'll say host plus
guest 1.
Guest 1.
So we should, yeah.
Can I just jump in a second, Oliver?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I actually use the pip method because once you've got the format set up, you only need to change the sources and everything just changes throughout the whole document with the names.
Yeah.
With this method,
that's a good plan. Yeah,
with this method, you
right.
need to go and reformat the document every time, depending on who your guests are.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Maybe
fact,
we should.
Joachim told me that the pip method is the way to go because of this.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, Alexander, I think. Sorry, I sent you down the wrong rabbit hole there. So yeah, maybe we should get rid of the two up and then rebuild it in with the pip method.
Alexander, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z.
Yeah.
So we are gonna. Okay, so I'm not sure. I wasn't quite listening to that because I was distracted. So
why
is the pip method better than the two?
Because on the buttons you will have the names of the people and not guest 1 and 7, and have to remember who is going to be guest 1 and guest 7.
Yeah, that's how I do it on my own show, and all my buttons just say guest 1, guest 2. But that's actually a better way.
Okay.
All right, so I guess undo.
Well, yeah, undo. Yeah.
Is there an undo history we can just?
No, you have to go and undo everything. Yeah.
there it is.
Oh, that's undo enough.
So we're gonna
So
have.
I
are we
would,
gonna
I
have-
would, I would, actually, so you've already changed parameters. So I would remove all the variants that, oh no, we don't have to do that. But you basically have made the changes in the first pip window to one of those things, and I think to Elena Kovac. If you click on Elena Kovac in the pip window, we should rename that to pip window 1 or something like that, or pip window left or right, pip window left, or just left. I mean, maybe that's right.
Okay.
So if we want to copy all the geometry settings, there's a shortcut to that. You click
really?
on, yeah.
That's useful.
You go to, you click on, make sure that you have the one selected, then you go to the geometry settings and right click on the geometry headline.
I
Yeah,
didn't know
or
you
there.
could do that.
And then you go and paste them into, no. That's
What
the
am I
wrong
doing here?
one. You want this one. Yeah, and then you can paste them to all variants. So all the variants are the same.
Oh, paste geometry attributes to all
Yeah.
layer variants. Okay.
And you can do
Gotcha.
that with every of these sections. So you can go to appearance and do the same thing. So if you go, yeah. No, this is the wrong one. You've selected the wrong one in this. You
Okay,
have
so
to
I'm
make
just
sure
working with
which
the
one.
first one.
No, the window right is, but you have selected the wrong variant in the window
I see.
right.
Okay, I want to see.
So
where am I going here?
click on window right and select Sarah Muller because that's where you have made the changes.
Who?
The red one,
yeah,
basically.
Sarah Mueller.
And then copy geometry and paste geometry to all layer variants. And you might want to do the same with the appearance because you've changed the border color and things like that. So you go to appearance down there and do the same thing. Copy appearance.
Did I
No.
not change that
No.
I know. I'm just checking to see what I did here.
Yeah, you just moved all the people to the same place, basically.
Yeah, it was her that. Okay, so go appearance, copy appearance attributes,
and paste them to all layer variants. Now they all look the same as well.
They should be yellow. Okay, gotcha.
And to do the same thing up there.
We need to do that for there.
But you have to go to the Elena Kovac, the one that's live. The one that's live.
Yeah, gotcha.
Easy. Yeah. Do the same thing. Copy, paste. So.
Yeah, there it is. So they're all the same now. Okay.
So now, I mean, basically, we would probably remove the layer variants in the window left because we only want the one with what's the guy's name who's the extra hours person?
Grant?
You mean Grant?
Grant, yeah, Grant. Yeah, so maybe we would just have on the left, we would just have Grant, and remove all the other variants. Or maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to keep all the and be able to switch that.
I would leave this if, for example, if Grant's internet fails, you want to go to another interim host.
Sometimes, occasionally, he's not available, and Guy or someone else has to take over. So we have to plan for that too.
Oh yeah, good.
Right. So it's whoever is the host. I think we should just use the name generic as like host. Whoever's doing that.
Yes, but if you go to the Zoom ISO sources, you can actually, I mean, the people who are there most of the time, you can go and select, instead of Anika Patel, you go to the pop-up menu and you say name contains, and then you put in
Right.
grant,
That's
and
true.
then this source will always be assigned to grant. So
Yes.
if you
Yeah, that is a useful feature. I use that.
name
Also a
contains,
very yeah. Let's just put the Annika there.
That's super
This is
useful.
also this is also a useful feature I find, and I ran into this not too long ago. If someone's connection dies in Zoom, when they rejoin, what will happen is it won't automatically put them back in. You get a freeze frame, like of whatever the last frame is when they left the meeting, and you actually have to go. I would have to go in here because the video would be frozen. I'd have to go into the participant list, reselect it because there'd be a new entry. So the way around that was to use name contains, and that way it would just automatically put them in and restore their video when they rejoin the Zoom meeting.
basically you could use the thing they use on office hours with the number. So you could put in the 1760 and then it would always select Alexander.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, actually, that that is something we can do with all this stuff. Actually, I might do that.
Yeah.
Um, okay, and then so for these layer variants, I guess I should probably put the host at the top. I should probably rename these too, right? So like host would be the
Uh,
first one.
yeah, I wouldn't. So the advantage of this is that if you select someone else in the participant list in the Zoom source, it automatically changes the name of the pip window variation. So it
Ah,
also
okay,
changes the
okay,
name
okay.
on the button on your remote control. So if people join and you assign them, like
Right.
Guy joins and you assign Guy, then you can then it will just be here in the name and it will be on your remote control, and
Mm-hmm.
you won't have to remember that, you know, today it's not Grant, it's who's the host, it's Guy who's the host, you know. So and then type on Grant or
Right.
host anytime. You can just type on Guy, you know. So
Okay.
yeah.
And as we're building the buttons for the remote interface, that's weird. It keeps disconnect. That's the second time it's saying it's disconnected from mimoLive. Why?
Yeah, I think
Why
that's
is it?
it's the browser being put into memory save mode. So that's probably what it is. But you just click
Yeah.
reconnect and it will just
Yeah.
reconnect.
So one of the other things, I guess, what I'm going to have to do is we're going to, as I like to be able to say switch between a pip window and say, um, okay, so this is the other thing too is now we also have to build. Um, I also need a way to switch between each individual person. Just have them full screen with the lower third name, right? So I'm also gonna. I guess I should have like all the Zoom sources are gonna have to be like all these people are gonna have to be added into the layer stack, right? Oliver, in order for me to switch to those people and make
No,
them full
I
screen.
wouldn't do it this way.
You wouldn't do it that way?
No, I would actually
Because you end up with a
well that's
huge stack of stuff that you got to scroll through. But I don't know any other way to do that
no, I mean
because that's the way I do it on the show.
um I mean in the if you go to the 8 up, right? For example,
Okay,
you can just solo one person. So if you put that up and turn off the other window pip thing so
that's
we can see
true.
that. Just click the make the 8 live and turn off the pip window things. So we can just solo A or solo B, and that makes them automatically. You've scrolled past it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Can you change that if can I turn off that animation if I just want it to be like a hard cut to that person? Can I do that?
I'm not sure. Maybe you can just go down and see if we can turn off the animation.
Because that's one of the reasons why I don't use the solo function anymore is because I
Okay.
don't like to wait for that. I
Well,
just
you
want it
can,
to be
there's
like a
a solo
hard cut.
transition. So you can maybe you can switch that to Cut.
Ah, there we go. Set it to cut. Okay, so if I do that again, there we go.
Yeah.
And of course, you can
Okay.
define these changes that we're doing at the control level into a layer set.
Yeah.
So then you'll have your individual buttons, Alex, just to go to the individual people.
Well,
Right,
for the
so I'm gonna
solo
have to.
one, for the solo thing, you can actually just add the solo buttons to the remote control. So
Oh, how do you do that?
if you go to the 8 up, and then you go to the solo buttons with video preview, or the just solo buttons only. There's a
Yeah,
solo buttons only
so
thing.
Second down underneath the variant 4x2.
solo buttons only. Got it. Okay.
Oh,
What happened?
that
Didn't add it.
You didn't put it onto. I'm interested. It's interesting to see why it's not
What?
doing.
It's not.
Why is it only doing 3? It should have 8.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Just reload the page, maybe. Maybe it didn't. Eat up.
Nope.
Well, it's
Still
still
3, and it won't let me add it.
That's
is
interesting.
Weird. Does that work for the 2 up? Let me just see. Solo buttons only. Well, that works.
Yeah, so maybe it's
So
because they are like there should be 8. Maybe there's something. Okay, I should take a note and put that bug into the bug database.
Okay.
But that is super cool, Oliver. I didn't realize you could move the solo buttons individually onto the control surface.
Yeah,
it is really
and
good.
you can now make like what you can do is also if you can make them by hand, which is a little more awkward, but you can still make like the buttons by hand.
Okay, so I still need to build layer stacks because right now I can only solo and I'm not on the right thing. So let me just make this 2 up live, and then I'm going to go back to the remote interface. And let me just get this out of the way. There's the
Well, for the
pivot. So
2
now
up,
if I
we
go,
would use the pip window things, right?
oh, but it's still doing the solo animation. When you set these buttons up, it
Well, you have to
defaults to
set
this.
that for each of the
Did I
layers.
not? Hold
No,
on a
you
second.
don't. You set that for the 8,
Oh,
but you
yeah,
didn't set
whoops.
that
Okay,
for
that's my fault. That's
for
user
the
error.
thing. So yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So now that works the way I want. So now we just got
Yeah.
to figure out why the 8 up doesn't work. That's very odd.
And yeah, I think that's a bug in there. Probably in the it's specific to that layout, maybe the 4x2.
Okay.
Which yeah.
Well, let me just try this. What if
So
if we
another way
add
to make them, if you just want to switch between the
yeah.
users, right? You just make a switcher layer. So you add a layer
Well, I
on
was
the
just
top of this stack. You just add a switcher layer instead of 20 placer layers.
oh, I see. That actually does make sense. I've never actually used the switcher layer.
Yeah, there's if you go switcher, there's actually one that is auto video switcher, which can switch, following audio. But you use the
Okay.
regular switcher and just
So I
put
would put it
that,
right here.
yeah, whatever you want. And now you can assign 9 sources. And the ninth source is actually layer below. So you can turn off and on this layer to make people appear above the 8 up, for example. If the 8 up is live, put the 8 up live and turn off the 2 up. and then make the video switcher live. And now we have to assign the sources, the 8 sources down there, just where it says content. And,
Okay.
so now you can switch between those and the layer below. If you click on the layers below,
Where am I seeing?
you can switch using the preview. You click on the preview.
Oh, just click on these themselves, the thumbnails.
Well, you can, yeah, exactly. And you can also the layer below you only get when you click on the preview of the video switcher, which is in the video switcher column, the little image with the 9 sources up there. We can use the multiview to switch, but you can also use the video switcher preview to switch.
It's the bottom right-hand one.
It's the link, the left in the video switcher in the column for the video switcher, the upper, the image at the top. That's the preview.
Oh,
I see. Yeah, you can use that to switch. And so now you could put up your buttons so that you can turn on the switcher and switch to John, Kinsborough.
But there's no way to, from down here, I can only cut to the individuals. I can't go back to the 8 up from here. I have to click this tiny little button.
Yeah. Or you would put that on your remote control anyway, so you wouldn't do that in the
Okay, and I can replicate this in the buttons interface. You're saying I can put a video switcher in there.
Yeah.
Like how would I? Where is that?
You go to the switcher and you drag in like the compact cuts, and then
tiny little buttons. Of course, because I had to pick such a.
I wouldn't do the. I wouldn't do the Alex Lindsay method before you.
I like it because I usually end up putting so many. I put so many buttons on here. That's why I started doing that. What is layers below? What does that do?
Yeah, if you go to the layer stack, it's basically it's displaying what's below this layer.
Oh, and it's got a video preview in there too.
Yeah.
Can I turn that off if I don't want the video preview?
Yeah.
In the button.
You just remove it where it says video preview.
Okay.
Here in this, if you go into this, leave that setting
It's in
open.
the button settings, right?
Yeah, it's video preview, and you just remove that, yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I don't want that.
But that's basically the video preview, or this video preview in the buttons is basically the the way where you can make sure that before you switch to someone, the framing is right and things like that. So that's basically the replacement for the A/B bus thing. You see what you get. Andre?
Yeah, resource-wise, the preview windows don't strain the CPU of the mimoLive machine, but only of the web browser device, right?
No, they actually strain the mimoLive machine because it's basically a motion JPEG that's being created. So mimoLive basically renders, I think it's 5 frames per second, 10 frames per second motion JPEG files. So
copy that. Thank you.
So it is putting a little strain on the CPU, but not that much, because making JPEGs isn't that big of a deal anymore. So Yeah, it seems I was a little
Okay.
optimistic
There we go.
in thinking that maybe you could use this template tonight to cut the extra hours. Seems like we have to do a couple of more
It's
sessions.
a little, it's a tad optimistic, a tad
Yes,
optimistic.
very optimistic.
A little
I
more
mean, we
work.
can do probably some sort of like test thing, but yeah.
Well, how would I shadow cut this?
Well, you just join the Zoom meeting,
They
and
would just have to give me co-host. Is that how it would work?
no, they just would have to give you recording permissions. No co-host
Oh,
required.
okay.
You just instead of the demo meeting, you just enter their Zoom meeting, and then you ask them for
Right.
recording
Okay.
permissions, and then you access all the Zoom sources, and then you can. I've
Now
done it
in the
before, and Taylor has done it, so it's easy.
okay.
It's easy
And in
to
the
do.
video switcher, can I if I want to cut to back to the 8 up from the video switcher, can I do that?
You could have a button that does a layer set where you turn off so you would have a layer set that says, I want 8 up, or you could have a button that does that, but I think the better way in this way is the
Probably
layer
just the
set.
layers set, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and
And
sorry, you
then
explained it, but I didn't catch the what is this cut
those
below? What
below,
is that?
layers below.
Oh,
Yeah, so everything that's below the video switcher layer in the layer. So basically it shows what's below the video switcher. So it's basically
oh.
transparent.
So that would work, but you can't. But there's no way to get that in a button, eh? From
Oh yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
video.
There's the layers below button there. It's there. It's already on
Uh,
your remote surface. You've already put it on the remote surface.
did I already put it on there?
Yeah,
Hold on.
there. It says,
Placeholder layers
yeah,
below. Oh, there we go.
yeah.
Awesome. So that works. Okay. Cool. All right. Anything else, Oliver, you want to add? I know we're running really long here and it's getting late for you. So,
Yeah, maybe we should do a second workshop, um, picking up where we left
yeah.
here. Maybe
Yeah.
you want to you want to save this, like,
I'll save it. I'll kill
and
the
then
test stream.
and
The
then
second workshop is going to be how to build a web interface that does not look like this awful thing that I've built here with the tiny, tiny little chiclet buttons there.
Okay, good.
All right, let me just kill the
Yeah, do
live
we want
stream
to
real quick.
call it a day for today? Or do
Well,
you want
it's
to
up to you, but I think
continue?
it's. I think we should probably wrap there. We've gone pretty
It's
long
like,
here.
yeah,
We're at the
yeah,
2 hour mark.
yeah. Well, okay. So I think any questions? I mean,
My only thing is I'm now annoyed because I've been now the way we're setting this up. This is actually a more efficient layout, and my show template is so much more convoluted with so many more layers that if I just rebuilt it from scratch, I would probably do it more similar to this with pip windows and stuff like that. I mean, if you guys want to see it quickly, I mean, I'll just close this down, but I mean, it's my setup is functional and I know it well and it works, but it's kind of it's kind of crazy the way I've so you can just see like all these videos and all these different layouts that I've built, right? And all these
Yeah,
layer sets and stuff.
we have to find a way to make it more streamlined so you can select. Yeah, so what we wanted to do once was we wanted to have like a, a source that can be a switch of other sources. So you can have like,
Right.
um,
So you
you
can see
know,
this is my interface. So I've
yeah.
got and you can see here it's so like I got 2 up with me, and so Mitch, who's the host, always stays in this. 2 up with Mark, 2 up with guest, 2 up with guest 2. It's not great. Like I'd rather these boxes have the like I if I could have a way for it to just auto populate the participant's name in the button, that would be much better. But anyways, that's for another session. Well, that was
Yep.
great. Thank you, Oliver. And I
Yeah,
think
thank you
hopefully,
everyone for joining and for your questions. It's always a pleasure, and I'm sure we will be continuing this and eventually be able to produce the extra hours with mimoLive.
yeah, I just need a little more time to
I
work
don't
out
know
some of the
what the
kinks. But I
plan
think,
was, how quickly they want
yeah,
to do that, but yeah.
yeah, and I'll send I'll send a message to Taylor. I mean, I could probably at the very least join. He can give me recording permissions. I can just mess around with it on my end
Yeah,
while the show's going
that's
on,
probably a good idea.
right? Because then I'll just learn as I'm going along and tweak
Yeah.
things as I'm going along. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. Well, hopefully that was useful, and I think Oliver's recording this, so everybody will. I know because
Yes.
everyone's in a different time zone, they can watch it. He'll post it in the Discord server, and once again, if you haven't joined the mimoLive Experts Discord group, I would recommend clicking that link, which I believe he put in the chat there, and we could always use a few more people. So,
yeah. Also, there was another question from Alan McPherson. I hope he is still there. Alan, are you still there?
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. Okay. So, is there a document autosave function, or do you need to save the manually regularly? Yeah, you need to save manually regularly. The reason why we didn't put in an autosave function is because it's also easy to mess up your work, and then you have a saved version that you don't want, and also during a recording or something, quick fixes, and then you don't want them to be in the document for next time.
I got a quick question regarding this. When Alexander erased the layers before and then brought them back by Control Z,
undo.
I think
Undo.
I think Alex saved in between. Is this possible? Because I think he saved
the undo
directly.
chain. I don't know. The undo chain is, I think, has a certain length, and if you save in between, it can go back over the saved state. But I'm not sure. I mean, that's something we could test. But I think
I wasn't sure if it was really the case, but I think he saved directly after erasing the layers and then brought them back, and I was stunned about this because I never saw a document undo after saving.
Yeah, we can go back over the saving. Well, usually apps like, Word or something, they clear out the undo stack once you save. But we don't do that. So, Tony, you have a question?
Good to know.
Yes, I was just trying to find the link to the mimoLive Experts. I didn't see the link.
That's in the chat in the site. I can just post it again in the Zoom chat.
Okay. Thank you.
Post it once more. Yeah. All right. Good. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks,
Wrapping
everyone.
this up.
Thanks, Oliver. Thanks,
And,
Alex,
thank
as well,
you.
for all your hard work.
Yeah, no problem. I'm learning as I go, just like everybody else. So I've barely scratched the surface of mimoLive. So
all right, that's why we do these workshops, so you can
absolutely.
all scratch more
and
of
Oliver,
the surface.
I have to send you a log after. I'm not sure where the best place to grab that is, but I gotta send it to you.
Okay.
I guess I'll just send it to you on Discord.
All right.
Okay.
To
Bye,
that.
everyone.
Bye.